All right, hello, Jessica Nova.
Hello, how are you?
Pretty good. Tell us about yourself for people who don't know the great Jessica Nova.
Well, I am a model on the internet. I've been doing that for 18 years now. Yeah, I'm elderly. I do a lot of cosplay modeling. I've done a lot of fetish modeling. I do burlesque now. That's basically my job. I don't shoot as much content except for things like you. And I've slowly started re-updating some of my very old stores. I specialize in superhero and cosplay, and it's fun. Cosplay has always been a passion, and getting to do that in nerdlesque and in fetish modeling has been such a life changing. When I first started in fetish modeling, I didn't know that you could do superheroes and people were into it. And then I opened up a whole world and it made complete sense, like Wonder Woman and old school Wonder Woman and the bondage. And yeah. And I co-own My Geek Glory, which is a cosplay nudie modeling website.
Okay, and you also work for this great group called Geeky Femdom. I heard the guy
Yes.
very handsome.
Yeah. He's very handsome, our mysterious benefactor.
The ultimate Giga Chad, they call him.
I've been working with him for a very long time. I was thinking about it, and definitely you are one of my oldest clients. And I know we sometimes disagree on time frames because I'm quite slow, but I enjoy all the stuff we've gotten to do together. It has helped me be creative in a lot of ways.
Yep, I met before I had a new liver, so I have whole new body parts. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember you getting surgery and everything. I mean, when we met, I didn't have new boobs yet. I've gotten a new shoulder and my entire uterus has been ripped out.
Oh, you're part of the Black Widow program.
Oh
Yep, that would happen to them.
yeah, I am. I don't have any regrets about it. I'm glad.
Okay, so first question. I assume your cosplay started as a hobby. How were you able to move that to like a business, making money off cosplay?
Let's see. So my first cosplay, so I went to my first convention, I think I was 15, and I didn't know what cosplay was. I loved Halloween and all that, but I didn't know you could go to a convention. I was just finding out conventions existed. So my first one, I wore a Sailor Moon shirt. I wore my hair in little odongos. My hair was maybe at my hips then. And when I went, I saw people in cosplay, and I saw people that at the time were very good at cosplay because we didn't have a lot of the accessibility that we used to or that we do now. So the next year I went and I wore my first couple of cosplays, and then I cosplayed only as a hobby for about 2.5 years, and then started doing fetish modeling. And at one of the shoots, somebody was asking me about, do I do superhero stuff? And that opened my eyes to that because I wanted to do Harley Quinn and things, and finding a way to do kind of off-brand superheroes was financing my cosplay at the time because it was a little risky doing trademark characters. So they kind of fell into it. And then, I started building cosplays that were more accessible. Like I built a Wonder Woman that I could use for both. And one of my earliest gigs was modeling for Cosplay Deviants at the time. And, they had just started. I was one of their launch models. And I think I saw the ad on Craigslist or something that they were looking for cosplay nerdy models. And I, said me. And I think that was probably my first paid cosplay kink gig.
Nice. So you said you went to the cons when you were 15, right?
Yeah. My first convention was MegaCon in Orlando.
How has the con changed? Because I remember it used to be
Oh man.
like in a
Oh,
basketball.
well, Yeah, when at least MegaCon has always been in the Orlando Convention Center, so it's always felt big, and it's definitely gotten way bigger. When cosplay started going really mainstream, I feel like it was around 2010. There started to be, and maybe a little before that. I think California Jessica, cute, sexy Pikachu at San Diego Comic-Con, and that was probably 2008 or 9. People started seeing, what's the word? Pretty people, for the most part, like people and body types that, magazines and Hollywood would say are beautiful. So these kind of mass, everybody thought they were hot in cosplay, and then suddenly being a geek was cool. And from there started to be a lot of accessibility. It was no longer on forums that you learned how to build stuff. There was Warbla, there were cosplay wig websites. When I first had to get wigs, I was going to beauty supply stores and hoping that they'd have something in the style or color. Like my first Poison Ivy wig had dark roots and was, I had to spray it red because it was, dark. Or we'd go on eBay and hope for the best. And now I can order wigs that rock on Amazon.
Okay.
So it's definitely become easier to enjoy. And I think in a lot of ways it's grown out of the toxicity. But for a while there, it was very toxic. The convention scene was just really nasty. And I feel like now geeks have kind of returned to more of their roots in terms of just, it should be for everybody. It should be fun. It's not about the money you spend or how much you work out. It's just trying to be for everyone. And I enjoy this phase of it very much.
Okay, so when you're making a costume, how long does it usually take for you to make it?
It depends. I don't sew as much as I used to. The first Harley Quinn costume I ever had, I had somebody make for me, and I had to go to a place called, oh gosh, I don't even remember the name of it, but it's a place in Orlando, and that's where I had to go get spandex. I think the sewing studio. And I got stretch velvet, had it made for me, hated it. So I started building my own Harley, and I want to say that took me most of the summer because I had never built a suit before. I didn't have a pattern. Now I could probably sit down and make a Harley Quinn costume in about 12 to 15 hours, with finished seams and applique and everything. But sometimes it's even easier than that. If I can get pre-made pieces and I'm just retooling them, like my first Sailor Moon I made from scratch. Now I could get one on Amazon and either make or get upgraded accessories and only have to do a little bit, and I can have a polished looking cosplay in a day.
What was your first big cosplay that got you attention?
Probably Harley at Dragon Con, and it was that velvet one, which looking at the hood is total garbage. It was not good. But then the first Harley that I made out of regular spandex and wore to MegaCon, suddenly I was the Harley Quinn of the South. There was Hera Strand in California, who was like the iconic Harley Quinn cosplayer. And then there was me, and it felt like a really big deal. People knew my cosplay. They expected me to do Harley. And that was a wild couple of years. I really identified with the character for a while until, I don't know, I just fell out of it.
Yeah. Well, when you get a big costume like that, is it hard to move around, eat, and go to the bathroom, stuff like that?
Harley was annoying because it's a tight, when I made it the way I wanted to, it was a skin tight spandex suit. And just doing my zipper for the first couple of times was hard until I learned different tricks, like putting a string at the top, like paracord, and having it tucked in so that I can undo my zipper alone in the bathroom and not have to have somebody going with me. The biggest problem is because I didn't wear so much of the armor and the big builds. I wore very skimpy things. And so some of that was like, oh, in Flash, with Flash, you can see right through these panties as Emma Frost, or this corset bends. One of the Poison Ivies I did, I wore pleasers. No, I wore 6-inch stilettos. So they were almost straight. They had no platform. And I had nerve damage for weeks in my toes because I was just on them, walking around, posing.
Okay, well, you said cosplay deviance was your first big thing, but did you do like adult stuff before that? That was your first?
That was my first, I don't even know if I would necessarily say big. It was my first paid cosplay thing. But I had been doing nude modeling and kink modeling before that. I was doing a lot of alternative girls, suicide girl stuff. But I think I started cosplay deviance when I was 19 or 20. So I'd been doing nude modeling for about 2 years.
Okay. You have any advice for women getting into it?
Oh, for sure. Always take an escort with you. Never go by yourself, especially if it's new. But even if it's somebody you've worked with 100 times, it only takes one day while you're in bondage for somebody to cop a feel or do something inappropriate. And I have found if a photographer will not let you bring an escort, then they're not worth working. You shouldn't work with them. It's just unsafe. But besides safety is ask questions. When we were first starting out with My Geek Glory, which is the nude cosplay site that I co-own, we were having a tough time diversifying. And part of what we would find out is, especially like curvy girls, they would not see somebody that looked like them on the website, and they would worry that we didn't accept diverse bodies or that there wasn't a place for them. And that was totally untrue. We just weren't getting those applications. And it's just like a monster that feeds itself. I don't see anybody that looks like me, so I don't apply. And then I don't know how to get that body type. So ask questions. If you're interested in something, we now have models, and we accept anybody. You don't have to identify female to work for us. That's why we changed to My Geek Glory, where we used to be My Geek Goddess. But we now have people that will show up and they'll ask questions. They'll, want to know what they can do, and they'll ask about their art. Like, I like to crossplay. Is that okay? And that's really the easiest way. If you like, as far as burlesque, if I think a performance troupe looks really awesome, or I want to travel out that way, I'll drop an email with my resume and say, hey, this is what I've done. I would love to come do your show. Do you have any way I can pitch? And then the one other little thing of advice is, if you're going to ask questions, like if somebody came to me and they sent me 10 questions, I would probably not respond. If somebody came to me and was like, hey, I would like to have some of your time. I have a lot of questions. Can I also have your Venmo so I can pay you for your time? Even if it's $10, that's $10 that shows me you understand that I'm an artist and that my time is valuable, and I'm way more willing to sit down and answer questions. With that, be courteous. Don't send somebody 100 questions and say, will you book me? Try and understand it's a trade. And that shows a lot of financial intelligence as far as the art form.
Now, how has the adult business changed since the first time you were in back in the day?
Oh, my goodness. Well, first of all, there are a lot more female identifying producers. There's a lot more diversity in producers. When I first started, it was a bunch of shitty older white dudes that thought they were in control and thought they were in power, and that, especially femme-bodied people, they only wanted thin girls. They didn't really like tattoos. It was just so old school, boring way of thinking. And now we've got people that want to do all sorts of weird stuff. There's also a lot more kinks that get attention now. You know, you can go get weird clown stuff. My friend Quinn in Florida does almost exclusively clown stuff now. And you couldn't do that back in the day. There's more platforms. If you're not able to sell something on one platform, chances are you could find an audience on a different one. So having multiple streams of income for just the one clip you're doing is very empowering. And I do think a lot of it is now more model centric so that the models have more power. And a lot of them have started producing on their own, which I think is super badass.
Well, how does it feel to be the boss now since you kind of co-run the site?
Oh, it's fun. It's fun and aggravating. Sometimes I feel like there's a reason all the models call me daddy is because sometimes I'm cleaning up messes. And because our company tours and we have, you know, booths, we go to conventions, we do shows, there can be a lot of great camaraderie. But if somebody doesn't quite work with everybody else or there's just bullshit, it's a headache. It's a headache for me. It's a headache for, you know, my best friend who runs it with me. And we have to figure out what to do with all these different personalities. And that can be difficult. But being able to run a site where I feel like my models are safe and appreciated is definitely worth it.
Okay. Now you do customs and like different kinks. What's your approach to doing those?
I try to understand. I usually ask questions. If I don't understand a kink, even if it ends up still not being something that I identify with, I like to ask questions like, what do you like said? Are there any like certain angles? What really is the crux of your enjoyment out of this so that I can hit those marks? And asking questions, I think, in anything involving adult and kink work is vital. Because if you don't understand it, you're not going to be able to produce it. And I think, I try and giggle through the ones that are just the most interesting. There's stuff like, I do a lot of fart customs, surprisingly. And like, that's hilarious to me. But a lot of my clients think it's hilarious, to watch pretty bodies do something that's kind of gross. And like, I don't get gas, I get gas, but not in the way that they're, expecting. So I ask, like, I'll have to add sound clips. Is that okay? And as long, there's just honesty there. I don't want to produce something that I've been paid for that is not going to be satisfying, because I want clients to come back. So yeah, I think that's the big one as far as customs. The thing that I have issues with customs is I have grown to really respect my time. So my customs are not cheap. And that can be problematic because they used to be very cheap for people to buy them. It used to cost maybe a fourth. Even myself, when I first started producing clips in 2009, I'd do a custom for $25 because I didn't know any better. And now I charged $25 a minute.
Okay, well, what are the customs you've been getting the most lately? What's the hot item?
Probably my lady, I never can say her name right, whatever, the Resident Evil tall lady. I think that is the hot one. Huh?
Is it called Giantess Mama or something like that?
Yeah, tall vampire lady. So I think that is my currently most requested.
Okay. What was your favorite video you have done in the past? Like favorite costume or favorite video?
Let's see. This is the one that the model, I did a series with several models and they were very much the same. in Barbarella, there is a scene with the dolls where there's these dolls that attack her. I think it's in Barbarella. But it's all these little dolls attacking a beautiful model or actress. And I had a client that wanted several of that scene almost exactly like it with different models. So I bought a ton of the Monster High dolls that weren't the big, they weren't the expensive ones. They were like the single doll Monster High dolls. So I bought 5 or 6 of them because they're about $5 and they could get wrecked. And I did it with several different Wonder Women. And it would be them filming, and I would film up, and I would have to hold the dolls by their legs. And it would be these dolls like trying to climb up them and, wrestle with them. And the model would try and pull the dolls off, or I would have the model hold them and she would have to struggle with these dolls. And we still giggle about it. It was just one of the most difficult in terms of shooting because I didn't want my hand in it. It had to be multiple angles, and I did about 4 or 5 of them that were just the same video. And then I also like to do POV cosplay videos where, I find Hella doing a domination video, like that plays to my strengths, and I always enjoy those.
Okay, well, it's been nice speaking to you. You got any plugs you want to do? What's next for Jessica?
Yes. Well, definitely go to mygeekglory.com because we're always up. We do weekly updates. You can join our Discord and you can see what Nerdless shows we're going to, what conventions we're going to. You can follow me on Instagram, which is at the Jessica Nova. I think I'm unshadow banned right now. You can also follow my cat Instagram, which I just started, and it's all of my ridiculous cats, which is just, I believe it's at Jessica Nova's Cat. You can see all my babies and their stupid stuff. And that should get you all the information of what I'm doing. My Instagram will have where I'm going and what, outside of My Geek Glory where you can see me perform.
Okay, that's cool. Well, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Here, I'm stopping the recording.